Obsession is one of the most powerful forces in human psychology. It is a flame that burns quietly at first, a spark that begins as a thought, a curiosity, a fleeting interest. But when fed with attention and focus, that spark can grow into a roaring fire that consumes time, energy, and even the very identity of the person caught in its grip. To understand what obsession truly is, we must strip away the casual use of the word and explore its depth, its roots, and its consequences, both creative and destructive, because obsession, unlike passion, does not simply motivate, it dominates. It becomes the lens through which every decision, every thought, and every action is filtered. At its core, obsession is an idea or desire that refuses to let go. It is not just interest, not just focus, but fixation. When someone is obsessed, their mind circles endlessly around the object of obsession, like a planet locked in orbit, unable to break free. This can be a person, a goal, a fear, a memory, or even a dream of the future. The object of obsession is sticky. It clings to the mind in the morning, interrupts thoughts in the afternoon, and whispers again at night when silence returns. Unlike ordinary thoughts, which fade with distraction, obsessive thoughts resist, returning with greater intensity each time they are ignored. To understand obsession, we must also see how it differs from passion. Passion is voluntary, energizing, and can coexist with other aspects of life. A passionate painter loves their craft, but they can still eat, sleep, and converse without their art intruding every second. Obsession, however, is a tyrant. It invades every conversation, dictates the schedule, erodes balance, and often blinds the person to everything outside its scope. Where passion invites, obsession demands. Where passion inspires, obsession enslaves. And yet, many of the greatest human achievements, masterpieces of art, groundbreaking inventions, towering empires were born not from simple passion, but from obsession. Consider the scientist who spends decades chasing a single theory, ignoring ridicule, poverty, or even illness. Consider the artist who works until their hands bleed, driven not by deadlines but by the merciless voice in their head that whispers, "It is not finished." Consider the leader who cannot sleep, whose dreams are filled with visions of conquest or revolution. These are not merely passionate people, they are obsessed. And obsession, while dangerous, is also deeply creative. It fuels endurance beyond normal limits, focus sharper than reason, and a refusal to accept defeat that borders on madness. But obsession is not always noble. Just as it can build, it can destroy. Romantic obsession, for example, can lead to stalking, jealousy, and violence. Obsession with perfection can spiral into self-hatred, eating disorders, and burnout. Obsession with revenge can consume years of life, turning a person into a shadow of their former self. The danger of obsession lies not in its intensity alone, but in its direction. A blade, after all, can cut food to sustain life, or it can wound. Obsession is the same. It is a tool, a force, but one that can serve or enslave depending on how it is channeled. The psychology of obsession reveals how deeply it roots itself in the brain. Obsessive thoughts are sticky because they are tied to strong emotional charges. Fear, desire, and insecurity all create fertile soil for obsession. Neurologically, the brain's reward circuits, those governed by dopamine, are hijacked by obsessive focus. The mind begins to expect reward not from achieving the goal, but from simply thinking about it. This is why obsessive thoughts repeat endlessly. The act of thinking itself becomes addictive. In this way, obsession is both a mental trap and a self-sustaining cycle. Throughout history, obsession has shaped destinies. Writers like Dostoevsky, who gambled away fortunes, were driven by obsessions both creative and destructive. Artists like Van Gogh were consumed by visions they could not quiet. Conquerors like Alexander the Great expanded their empires not simply out of strategy, but from a restless, obsessive desire to push beyond every horizon. Even spiritual leaders have been obsessed, though their fixation was on transcendence, enlightenment, or divine truth. Obsession, in every form, leaves a trail, sometimes of beauty, sometimes of ruin, but always of intensity. And yet, society often rewards obsession. We glorify the genius who works tirelessly, the athlete who trains beyond reason, the entrepreneur who sacrifices everything for success. We call them driven, visionary, uncompromising. But what we are really celebrating is obsession reframed as ambition. The danger is that while obsession can produce extraordinary results, it often extracts a hidden cost. Broken relationships, deteriorating health, loneliness, and even madness. What looks like brilliance from the outside may, on the inside, feel like chains. Why do humans fall into obsession? One reason is the mind's need for certainty. When we cannot control something, we fixate on it. Another is the fear of loss, what psychologists call loss aversion. When we feel that something is slipping away, obsession tightens its grip. A lover who feels rejected becomes obsessed with regaining affection. An employee overlooked for promotion becomes obsessed with proving their worth. The mind clings harder the more it senses instability. This is why obsession is often born not in satisfaction, but in insecurity and lack. But obsession can also arise from ambition. When a person envisions a future so compelling that ordinary life feels meaningless in comparison, they become obsessed. The dream of success, the hunger for recognition, the pursuit of mastery, all of these can dominate the mind to the point that food, sleep, and rest become obstacles. Here lies the paradox. Obsession may destroy balance, but it also creates greatness. The price of achievement is often obsession, and those unwilling to pay it rarely change the world. To live with obsession, then, is to walk a razor's edge. On one side lies brilliance, on the other, madness. Some manage to channel their obsession into disciplined work, harnessing its intensity without letting it consume them. These are the visionaries who achieve while still maintaining fragments of balance. Others, however, are swallowed whole. Their lives reduced to the narrow tunnel of obsession, until nothing remains beyond it. The tragedy of obsession is not only in the suffering it causes, but in the blindness it makes the person believe there is nothing outside their fixation worth seeing. The question then becomes, should we resist obsession, or embrace it? The answer is not simple. To resist entirely is to live safely but perhaps without depth, never pushing the boundaries of possibility. To embrace it blindly is to risk losing oneself in the fire. The wiser path may be to treat obsession like a wild horse, dangerous, untamable, but powerful if guided with skill. This means choosing obsessions carefully, channeling them into creation rather than destruction, and setting boundaries even within the storm. Because obsession will always demand more, but it is the individual who must decide how much to give. Obsession also reveals something profound about human nature, our longing for meaning. We do not become obsessed with trivialities. True obsession arises when something feels vital to our identity, our survival, or our destiny. It shows us what we fear losing most and what we desire most deeply. In this way, obsession is a mirror of the soul. What obsesses a person tells us who they are. The lover obsessed with another's affection reveals a need for connection. The artist obsessed with perfection reveals a longing for transcendence. The leader obsessed with power reveals a hunger for control and recognition. Obsession uncovers the truth we may not admit even to ourselves. And so, obsession is both curse and gift. It can drive someone to madness, or to greatness. It can destroy, or it can create. It is not inherently evil, nor inherently good. It is simply intensity, magnified beyond reason. To understand obsession is to understand human potential at its most extreme. We are creatures who dream, who fear, who long, and who cling. And when one of those longings takes root too deeply, it grows into obsession, shaping the very destiny of the one who harbors it. Perhaps obsession is inevitable for those who wish to live beyond the ordinary. Perhaps it is the price of depth in a shallow world. But we must always remember, obsession is not free. It demands, it takes, it consumes. And if we are not vigilant, we may one day wake to realize that the obsession we thought we controlled has, in fact, been controlling us all along. So when you feel obsession stirring in your heart, whether for love, for success, for perfection, or for revenge, ask yourself, will this obsession lift me, or will it chain me? Will it build, or will it burn? The choice of how to channel obsession is the choice that defines not just achievements, but lives. And it is a choice that only you can make, because obsession, in the end, is not what we think about it, is what we become. If this journey into the depths of obsession has left you reflecting on your own desires and fixations, don't let the thought fade. Channel it, take the first step, and if you want more explorations like this, more windows into the hidden forces that drive us, then join this journey. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Your support fuels new stories, new explorations, and deeper dives into the mysteries of the human mind.